When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the Variety Pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Time for us to mind Ottawa's business, and there is no better place to do that than in our nation's capital with the Blacklock's Reporter, which is the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital with neither politics nor punditry. You'll find them online at blacklocks.ca. I have little doubt you will enjoy what you find there. Well worth the cost of the subscription. And joining us weekly for these chats is Tom Korski, who's the managing editor at the Blacklock's Reporter. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Mike.
Are we in a recession? And what is the Prime Minister saying about it?
We are, and the Prime Minister today, we are led to believe, will speak for the first time in the House of Commons on his plan and his economic record. These are government figures. It seems odd that Cabinet and members of the government caucus are disputing this. That's never a good sign when the government is contradicting its own Stats Canada figures. But indeed, the economy is smaller than it was on the last Labor Day, according to StatsCan. And that is a recession. It's significant. It's the first recession since the pandemic. And outside of pandemic times, the last one was there was a minor recession before the 2015 election. And recessions are fatal, of course, for governments at any time. Governments don't like to talk about it, but you can't argue with the math, Mike. And inexplicably, for instance, only yesterday, the parliamentary secretary to the government House leader was saying, No, it's too early. It's not too early, and tell that to people who are looking for work.
Absolutely, and it's interesting. I mean, we'll get some comment today, but it seems as though the federal Liberals were trying to get their ducks in a row before Prime Minister Carney had anything to say about it.
I don't know why this is difficult. This is really a core function. They like to take credit when they score on an empty net, but they don't like taking credit when when the hits go against them. It doesn't work that way. Well, wouldn't we all? Really, wouldn't we all? But it just, who's that lucky all the time?
All the time. Okay, I'm going to editorialize a little bit here, but proving, Tom, that even the NDP can have a good idea from time to time. I kind of like what MP Don Davies is saying here. He wants some rules around floor crossings.
He does. When he was interim leader of the party, they lost a member of their caucus, knocked their caucus down to 5 members on floor crossing. And to Don Davies' credit, he has been an MP for many terms. And going way back to 2006, he was always adamant about this subject. In fact, some may recall David Emerson, who was a member for Vancouver Kingsway, ran as a Liberal, defected to the Conservatives, and there was a certain constituent in his riding named Don Davies, who was a Teamsters lawyer, who got so upset at this betrayal of the electors in that riding that he ran against Emerson and has held the seat ever since, and that's Don Davies. So he's got street cred on this. He has a bill. He's introduced a bill before, introduced it this time again, saying if you want to be a smart aleck, if you want to be a floor crosser, then you go back home and you face your electors in a by-election. How popular is that idea? There was a Conservative-sponsored petition on this that drew over 110,000 signatures. That's a high volume by House of Commons standards. 5 MPs, of course, have famously defected to the Liberal caucus, giving the Prime Minister a majority. Davies called it odious, said it was infuriating, said all my years in Parliament I've never met One single Canadian who came up to me and said, I just love everything about floor crossing. I think they ought to do it more. I think he's got a point, Mike.
I think he does, Tom. It shouldn't be this hard, should it?
Well, it's people like to use polite language. Don Davies tried. He referred to it as political opportunism. I think there are other words for people who do things for personal advantage. But, we don't want to use rough language. The problem is that there are MPs who have really, in the case of famously conservative MP from Sarnia-Lambton, Marilyn Gladu, she was really a libertarian. Her speeches against government caucus were famous. Right up until the moment she joined the government caucus, it was really something.
Okay, this is very timely because we just in the last half hour talked on this show about electric vehicles. What has our Department of Natural Resources learned about Canadians' feelings towards EVs?
I think that's significant, what you point out. This is in-house research by the federal department. This is not any internet conspiracy theory. All these years later, after years and years of $5,000 rebates, government promotions, mandatory sales quotas, they still find a majority of drivers believe EVs perform poorly in cold weather. A majority believe they can't travel far enough on a full charge. A majority, 57%, say there's too few charging stations where I drive. The typical Canadian driver owns one vehicle, clocks more than 100 kilometers a week. This is fascinating data. Says their next vehicle they want to spend no more than $50,000. That excludes all but Chinese slave-made EVs. Everyone knows that. That's the rebates. And there are a solid block of drivers who have said, I have no interest in this vehicle. They were asked, why don't I just quote it, how likely or unlikely are you to purchase a zero-emission vehicle as your next vehicle, asked the Department of Natural Resources. 22% said no way in hell, nowhere, no how. 20% more said highly unlikely. So there's 42% of customers just walked out the door. Only a third said, I might be interested, but it depends on the price.
It really seems to me as though we're trying to force a square peg through a round hole here.
Wasn't that always the flaw, though, in so many aspects of not only the EV program, but so many aspects of the Fed's climate change program going back 10 years? At the end of the day, there was always an element of compulsion. And many Canadians were led to believe, and I think this is conventional wisdom now, certainly wasn't in the day, that you could jolly people along for a long time with talking about fear, planet is burning, what about the children? And then you had to really bring in the hammer. And they did that with the carbon tax. They did it with some restrictions on consumer goods. And they certainly were aiming for it on the electrical vehicle mandate. It was supposed to start in this model year, 2026. 1/5 of all new sales were by government prescription to be an electric car, whether you wanted one or not. It was a little bit rough.
Okay, one of my favorite things about reading your work at the Blacklocks Reporter at blacklocks.ca is, I don't know, it might almost be innocuous. You certainly don't find it anywhere else, but how much did it cost us for a 4-day conference in Ottawa led by our Indigenous Languages Commissioner?
$10 million. You say, how is that even possible? How could you spend $2.5 million a day at a conference in Ottawa? He found a way. Not a household name, Indigenous Languages Commissioner, Ronald Ignace. He's a sociologist from BC, former Indigenous chief. He was the first person to get this job. And the job was to save Indigenous languages. It was not to have cocktail parties in Ottawa. He got confused, and whistleblowers complained. There's now an internal audit on this, and I'm sorry for the commissioner, federal managers have really hung him out to dry. They appeared in Commons Committee, Public Accounts Committee, said we knew nothing about this. We never approved it. We strongly disapprove. $10 million for 4-day partying is unacceptable, especially in this time of food bank usage. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. The commissioner is going to, I think, going to be saved public humiliation. Mike, his term expires July 12th. I can assure you he will not be reappointed, but there will be a damning audit that I'm guessing will come out sometime after the 12th of July.
10 million in 4 days, 2.5 million a day. If anybody needs tips on how to spend that kind of money, maybe, I don't know, Monty Brewster, that was the character Richard Pryor played in the movie. Brewster's yes.
That was a great film, wasn't it?
Well,
but it's
sure.
only funny when it's fictional.
Exactly. And that's the key. Right there, Thomas. That's the key. Always appreciate the chats. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski is the managing editor at Blacklock's Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. Check it out for yourself. Blacklocks.ca. Listen, you spend for the subscription, but then you learn about $10 million 4-day conferences in our nation's capital. That's the kind of stuff we get from Tom each and every week. Wednesday mornings just after the 10 a.m. news here on the Mike Farwell Show. I just want to go back to, first of all, 2 points. I love what Tom said. You know, it's always funny when it's fiction. Yes, exactly. In this case, it's federal government dollars, 10 million bucks over 4 days. But also talking, and I know I joked a little bit that even the NDP can have good ideas sometimes, but you got to hand it to MP Don Davies. And Tom did a great job explaining how he's got the street cred on this, having run against and defeating a former floor crosser. But I have a difficult time not getting behind a bill proposal like this that Don Davies brought forward in our House of Commons the other day.
It's elementary that in a democracy, elections are the primary opportunity for voters to express their democratic choice. So, when parliamentarians cross the floor to join a different party than they were elected with, they unilaterally alter the will of their electors. And the corrosive effects in our democracy are profound. Voters lose trust in elections, the prospect that MPs have been enticed by backroom deals emerges, and the idea that only government members get resources for their constituencies brings pork barrel politics to the table. Recently, the very balance of power in this House was changed not by voters at the ballot box, but by political operatives in back rooms. While that may not be illegal, it is undeniably undemocratic. This bill will not ban floor crossing nor the ability to sit as an independent. The latter is a valid protection against party oppression and to preserve matters of conscience. It would simply require those who wish to join another party's caucus to seek the approval of their constituents through a by-election. If an MP who wishes to join another party believes they have valid reasons for doing so, they should have no problem putting that choice to the test of their voters where it should be. I urge all members to support this important measure to protect the democratic rights of Canadian voters.
Hear, hear. Excellent bill.
It has been tried before. Let's let this be the time that it passes through federally and becomes law. You want to cross the floor, just go to a by-election. It's not hard. It's really not hard. Kudos to New Democrat MP Don Davies for trying again to get this through the floor of our federal parliament. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Keep your wellness routine going strong all summer. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition wherever you are. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and more. Simplify your daily ritual. Go to Kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.